Peace and justice for Sudan.
Peace and justice for Sudan.
Peace and justice for Gaza.
Peace and justice for Gaza.
Peace and justice for Sudan.
Peace and justice for Sudan.
Peace and justice for Palestine.
Peace and justice for Palestine.
Now, I'm going to give the next speaker. Please give it up. You know her already. You know her voice. But now, hey, you know her even more. Please give it up for Lou Jane.
Today has been amazing to watch, bringing in two countries united in struggle, but now we stand united in the freedom and the liberation of our countries together. We will keep coming out together to make sure that our countries will be united. It's been a year watching the bloodshed in Sudan. It's been 6 months watching the indiscriminate bombing in Palestine. And the one thing that connects both is Zionism. The Zionists are in everything. Their fingers, their hands are in everything. Bloodshed is all over Zionism. They invest in arms, they invest in the export of arms, and they've got Sudanese blood on their hands, and they've got Palestinian blood on their hands. And we are done with watching the bloodshed. We are done with watching the killing. What happened in Al-Shifa Hospital will go down in history. What happened in Al-Shifa Hospital is worse than what has been seen in concentration camps. The level of inhumanity, the level of killing, I don't even know how these people claim to be humans. There is no level of humanity there. But this goes to show how dehumanized Arabs have become, how dehumanized Palestinians have become. They don't even see them as humans. The level of brainwashing from an early age to get people to a point to go in and do what they did to children, to do what they did to women, to do what they did to the men. Everything they see is a target. Everyone that moves in Palestine is a target. They are not aiming and they are not trying to protect any human casualties. And it's sad to say that it took the deaths of foreign workers to get the West to look at Palestine 6 months in. And the irony of all that, the irony of the killing of the foreign workers, was that they were British people killed by British weapons manufactured on British land. This is the shame that our government lives in. This is the shame that Rishi Sunak lives in. This is the shame that the Parliament has to live with. Mind you, they're not human, so they don't really care. But the irony is, British weapons killed British soldiers on foreign land. And this will be a shame that the UK will have to live with forever. But what we have to do now is continue to pressure governments. We have to continue to shut down these factories. We have to continue to make our voices heard, because they are listening now. Unfortunately, it took the deaths of the foreign workers, but they're listening. And we have to come out every week. So please, thank you all for coming out today. It's been amazing to march hand in hand. It's been amazing to see the unity. But don't stop now. Don't stop now, because we're already 6 months too late. We're already almost 40,000 deaths too late. We're a year late for Sudan. We have to keep doing this. We have to stand with Palestine the same way Yemen stands with Palestine. We have to stand with Palestine the same way Sudan stands with Palestine. When we say the international community stands with Palestine, we're talking about every single country that's helped Palestine. We're not talking about the UK, because UK is complicit. We're not talking about Germany, who actually detained Dr. Hassan, who was working in Gaza. We're not talking about them. We're not talking about the US. We're talking about Norway, who have continued funding UNRWA. We are talking about Spain, who are talking about recognizing Palestine as a state. We're talking about Yemen, we're talking about Sudan, we're talking about all these countries. So please do not feel hopeless that countries like the UK and the US are doing what they do. Don't forget that in apartheid South Africa, the last countries that cut their ties with apartheid South Africa were Israel, UK and US. They were complicit till the very last minute, until it no longer suited them because the rest of the world was watching. And we have to make sure that they now know all of the world is watching, and all of the world will not be okay with what's going on. So keep boycotting. We have to keep up and push for divestment, and we have to call for sanctions. We're not just calling for a ceasefire. We don't want just a ceasefire. We're 6 months too late for a ceasefire. We want sanctions. We want to completely isolate Israel. We are isolating Israel until it cannot stand on its own, and it's a complete pariah state. We're standing together, and we're calling for all of these embargoes, these sanctions. No ceasefire. For now, we want more than that. We obviously want a ceasefire. I'm just saying not for now. We want more. We want bigger than that. The 40,000 deaths in the 6 months of killing, in the year of killing in Sudan, won't bring the people back. It will not rebuild Gaza. It will not rebuild Sudan. What will give us liberation and what will give us peace is the complete dismantlement of Zionism entirely. We do not want the UK to keep investing in arms manufacturers like Elbit. We do not want any of that bloodshed in our name. We don't want any of these profits to be used by the UK government. We are done. So, with all the elections coming up, make sure your voices are heard through the elections, okay? And if there's no ceasefire, there's no vote. Again, no ceasefire, no vote! No ceasefire, no vote! No ceasefire, no vote! Thank you guys for coming out. And to all the Sudanese community, thank you so much for today. Please keep coming out with us every week. Okay, and the next speaker, you all know him, you all hear him, he speaks with passion and rage. Adam is going to speak next.
My name is Adam Yohannes. The name of my organization is Cardiff Stop the War Coalition. We have one simple political goal: to melt all the guns, tanks, and weapons of the world and to turn them into musical instruments. Now I am now in the autumn of my life. I've been in the movement waging war on war for over 2 decades. War on Afghanistan, war on Iraq, war on Ukraine, war on Syria, war on Palestine, war on Sudan, war on democracy, war on civil liberties, war on human rights, and war on our minds. And that's why we say stop the war. Because we know that this economic system breeds war. Because capitalism and war fit together like the hand fits the glove. Because when the rich wage war, the poor die. And the only people who profit from war are the bosses, the bankers, the billionaires, the arms dealers, the corporations, and their political lackeys in buildings like the building behind me. Because we thank this parliament for voting for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, but every single political party in the Senedd is complicit in the building of arms factories in Wales, run by arms companies who supply Saudi Arabia to slaughter Yemenis, who supply Turkey to slaughter Kurds, who supply the UAE to supply the generals to slaughter Sudanese, who supply Israel to slaughter Palestinians. We have to shut these arms factories down. Shut them down! We need a parliament of peace and solidarity and democracy and human rights and internationalism that stands for the export of aid and doctors and solidarity around the world, not weapons and war. Now, a long time ago, during an epoch of war and of revolution, one of my patron saints, Rosa Luxemburg, once said that those who do not move do not notice their chains. And in the last few years, all over the world, people have been on the move. From the Arab Spring of 2011 to the Sudanese Revolution, which began, I think, around 7 years ago. But There's also another truth from the 18th century by Saint-Just in the French Revolution, who said that those who make a revolution halfway dig their own grave. And I think it's very painful when we look at these tremendously inspiring movements for freedom that arose in our age to see what happened. I was speaking to an Egyptian friend who for 18 days since 2011 camped out in Tahrir Square and brought down decades of dictatorship. And she said, Adam, you know, sometimes it feels like a dream to me. Was I really there in that square with millions of people when we see the military back in power? Did I really have those dreams which became sky high, that we could build a utopia now, that we could change the world? And you know, I spoke to someone from Syria, you know, who was part of the revolution that hoped to bring down the tyrant, the torturer, the butcher and murderer, Bashar al-Assad. And he said, I was a student at Aleppo University. I joined demonstrations for democracy. I never dreamed then on that day that Russia would be carpet bombing my hometown, that all the regional powers and great powers would be intervening in my country, drowning it into blood, that a quarter of our people would have become refugees, that I would be a refugee in Cardiff, that my brothers would be a refugee in Turkey, and we may never return home. And when we look at Sudan, that beautiful and inspiring revolution that could have lit a spark across the world, and we see two generals now drowning the country in blood over which one rules. It's very painful to see these facts on the ground. I think to understand why this is happening, I think when you have movements like the Arab Spring, like the uprisings in Palestine, like the Sudanese revolution that inspire such hope, such dreams of change all over the world, that it takes absolute savagery and cruelty to bury that. And so that's why we're seeing this bloodshed all over the world. So we're here today to mourn the dead and to fight like hell for the living. But you know, they have not died. They stand upright in the midst of the gunpowder. They live because they can bomb every hospital. They can bomb every school. They can bomb every university. They can kill children at an unprecedented rate. They can turn Gaza into a cemetery. They can turn Sudan into a mass graveyard. They can cut down all the flowers, but they can't stop the spring. Because truth crushed to earth will rise again. Because the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. Because the people united will never be defeated. Because Palestine will be free. Sudan will be free. So let's keep out on the streets. Let's stay fighting until from every river to every sea, all the oppressed are free. Thank you.
Will never be defeated.
The people united will never be defeated.
The people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated.
Now, I think we're coming to our end here, right, guys? We had an excellent run today, and thank you so much for showing solidarity with the Sudan and Palestinian causes. I hope today you have learned just how interlinked and intertwined we are, and how our destinies, not just between our two countries, but with here in Wales as well, are all interconnected as we move forward together, try and striving to create that future that we all want to and that we wish to see. So I want to say thank you once again, and once again, the people united will never be defeated. 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 The people united will never be defeated.
To everyone. I just want to take this opportunity to thank everyone who's been here today, to stand with us all together to support our brothers and sisters who are suffering, going through such adversities and atrocities that they are experiencing in Sudan and in Palestine as well. And what I want to say to our brothers and sisters over there in Palestine, exist, resist, and return to your own places. Stand together. The adversities, the hardship that you go through, and we are going through in Sudan, those are the things unite us. It puts us hands together. That's why we are here together. And also I want to pay close attention to what is happening in Sudan. What is happening in Sudan? Sudan is a massive country. It's only get reported what is happening in the capital city, Khartoum. But people don't know that around Sudan, the other different parts of Sudan, such as Darfur, that's the massive genocide that is taking place. It has been happening since 2003. It is since when we were born, we've been experiencing. It is one of the reasons why I myself here in this country, coming as a refugee, there people are experiencing genocide, ethnic cleansing. For example, you see whole families being wiped out, people being killed in holy places such as mosques, people being displaced into the neighboring countries. People are running 2 to 3 days to cross one country, one border to another, suffering without food, without having basic health care. And at the moment, as I speak to you, people don't have anything to eat. Please stand together in solidarity to support those who are affected in around the world. Thank you.